Hey guys, it's Katie. Welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you're here. Today we're doing a video that I do every single month, and that is going to be my wrap up for the month of April. Looking down at the books that I have in front of me right now, it was honestly a really good reading month. I have a 5-star read. I found a new series that I love. We have a few different genres mixed in. I don't think I read a single fantasy this month, actually. Let me double check my Goodreads because I did read some on Libby. Wow. Okay, I did not read a single fantasy this month. That is really weird because fantasy is like my favorite genre, but I don't know, whenever like it starts getting warm outside and stuff, I feel like I just want to read romance more. I do have to finish the Throne of Glass series that is like behind me right there. I'm waiting on some tandem read bookmarks because the tandem read is next, and I wanted to have like specific bookmarks that go with them so that I can like look and like know when to switch off and stuff like that. So I ordered those. Those should be coming soon. They should have been here last week, but I think something happened with like the shipping. It's not that big of a deal. I'll get to it hopefully this month, and then hopefully finish Kingdom of Ash this month too. It's gonna be a busy reading month. And also, let me just say, my hair is a mess. I am aware. This is the best we could do for today. Let's go ahead and get into our stats for the month of April. I ended up reading 11 books in the month of April. So again, a really good reading month. I was really scared of it not being a good reading month because I did get my wisdom teeth out this month. So there were a few days there where I was just kind of like out and like wasn't really reading, and I had a lot of catching up on work and stuff like that that I had to do. I was like rushing to post these last few videos for the month and stuff like that just because it was just a lot. So I'm actually pretty happy with 11 books. I read 6 romances, 4 graphic novels, which we'll get into. I'm so excited to talk about them. And then 1 mystery. So we have quite a bit of range. Again, no fantasy, which is very weird. I think I've been staying away from fantasy unless it's Throne of Glass, because if I'm in a fantasy mood, I want to read it, and I literally want to get into it so bad. I might honestly just start it tonight because I'm not currently reading a book right now other than the book I'm reading for book club, but I just don't know if I want to wait for the bookmarks or not. I literally just want to start it now. Okay, that was the genre breakdown, and then with those 11 books I ended up reading 4,211 pages this month. I love doing these stats and these little breakdowns, so let me know if you guys have any other ideas of stats that I should include in these videos. I also include them on my reading journal breakdowns for each month, so let me know if you guys have any other ideas for me to include in these videos and in my reading journal. We're just gonna go ahead and get into all the books that I read. The first book that I read this month was One Italian Summer by Rebecca Searle. I ended up reading this on Libby. This book is about a girl, I straight up don't even remember the main character's name. It's my name. Her name is Katie. Her mom would always talk about how she went to Italy for the summer and it was just the best time of her life, and that was kind of the season of life right before she had her daughter. Then all of a sudden her mom ends up falling ill, and her mom is like her world. Like Katie loves her mom so much, like she's her best friend, and like she has her dad, she has her fiance, she has other people in her life, but her mom is like her person. And when her mom becomes terminally ill, they decide to go to Italy, exactly where she went whenever she was younger, so her mom can like show her around and they can like share that experience with each other. One thing leads to another, and Katie ends up going on this trip by herself, and it was like almost having some magical realism elements to it, but it was just very interesting, intriguing. There was a portion of it that I really didn't like, had one of my least favorite tropes, but then it also like didn't. And if you've read this book, you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil it for you though, because I was like shocked. The biggest thing that I was really wanting from this book though was the nice summer vibes, and you know, I did enjoy reading about Italy, and like I felt like immersed in Italy, and it was just nice and like scenic and all that stuff, I guess. But like I said earlier, one of my least favorite tropes was in it, and it honestly just made me confused, and I had so many conflicting feelings on it. I think I'm gonna rate this one like a 2.5 or 2.75. I don't think it's a 3. I just feel like the whole time it was so messy, and not in a good way where I was like continuously entertained by the messy. And I understood Katie's struggle, and I understood like, I guess I can't because I haven't lost a parent, so it is like completely different than something that I've gone through. But what she ended up deciding to do on that trip and how she acted, I just can't really justify enjoying that, because I straight up didn't. She was very frustrating to me in the choices that she made. I don't even know if I would actually consider that a romance. Maybe that's more of like a literary fiction, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I think it is more of a literary fiction, but with like a side plot of romance. These next few books, this series has kind of been my saving grace this month, because while I was recovering from my wisdom teeth surgery, I just really needed something to read that was easy, light, and just something almost like different. And this was definitely that for me. I ended up reading the Heartstopper volumes 1 through 4. I have the 5th one that I still need to read, so I'm hoping to read that this month sometime. But these are graphic novels, and I don't know about you, but when I was younger, I was all about the graphic novels. Like, I was obsessed with Baby Mouse, and I remember reading Bone too. I think that's what it was called. And I've talked about these a little bit in the past few vlogs that I have done this month just because I just really enjoyed them. They're basically about our two main characters, Nick and Charlie, and obviously it is a graphic novel, so it's a little bit different. If you've never read a graphic novel, one, highly recommend. But obviously there are going to be some pictures along with dialogue in them, and this is a MM romance, which is like male-male, so it's not like what I normally read. I don't even think I've ever read a male-male romance. Most of what I read is just like female-male romances. I don't know why. I was just like nervous about reading these. I just wasn't sure if I was gonna like them or not, but I loved them. I was really glad that I got out of my comfort zone a little bit, not just with reading about a character situation that I don't normally read about, but also the fact that I tried like a graphic novel just because I loved them growing up and I thought that it was like perfect. These books are basically about them falling in love and their cutie little love story, and it was just so precious and like heartwarming, but they also deal with a lot of like serious topics and things that are really important, and it is set in high school, so it has that like wholesomeness to it that I love about a lot of the YA books that I read. But again, it also talks about a lot of real things. I think that I'm not really sure exactly what I'm going to rate them yet, because the rating scale for graphic novels and for like a regular book or like a fantasy book or a romance, whatever, like it's just very different. But I do think that the fourth one for me was probably a 5-star. I think in the first three, I really grew connected to the characters and I really ended up loving them, and I loved them so much that I bought the whole series and I was just reading them on Libby on my phone. So that's gotta count for something of how much I enjoyed these. But yeah, I think this one is a 5-star. These ones were all really, really good too. I just think that I wasn't connected enough to the characters. And in this one, like things got real. So I'm really excited to read the fifth one, and the sixth one is coming out I think later this year sometime. And yeah, I don't know. Highly recommend these if you guys haven't given these a try, because they're just like really cute and wholesome, and I don't know. I just feel so connected to these characters. Also, the spines of these are stunning, and so is the artwork. Like the artwork and having the ability to see the characters and really like knowing what they're looking like, knowing the scene of like the room they're in, all of that kind of stuff. I just really enjoyed it. I cannot say better things about these books. I love them. Next up, we have Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I ended up reading this in my bookish sleepover video that I did earlier this month, so if you want to see a lot of my thoughts on it, go ahead and check that out. If you're a big Emily Henry fan, you will know that her newest release, Funny Story, came out this month, which I'll be talking about a little later. But because I hadn't read all of her books, and I still do have People Moving on Vacation left, I just kind of wanted to read one this month just because I do eventually want to read all of her books, and her new release kind of like kicked me into gear and got me excited to read one of her books. So I picked up Book Lovers. This book is about a girl named Nora, and she is like the ultimate corporate girly. She cares a lot about her job. She cares a lot about supporting the people that she loves, and every time she gets in a relationship, those guys end up going to a small town for something, and then they leave her for a girl in the small town. Literally within the first chapter, she ends up explaining that she feels like she's that like bad corporate girlfriend in all the Hallmark movies that the guys leave for the small town girl, and that is quite literally like her life's trope. But she also is like a literary agent, I think that's how you say that, or like a book agent. And then this summer her job kind of slows down, and her sister's about to have her third child, and they're super close, but they haven't been as close as of late just because their lives are changing and just a lot different. So they decide to take a trip to a small town. So they go there for a few weeks, and lo and behold, somebody that she works with who is an editor in the bookish literature world, Charlie Lastra, that is his hometown. And this trip isn't just about the sisters becoming closer and having some time together before the new baby comes. This is also just about Nora trying to have a better relationship with working. So this is kind of almost like a vacation for her, even though she's like still working, but that's how much of a workaholic that she is. But her and Charlie are very similar. They love their jobs. They're very corporate-esque. They love to work. They love New York City. They love everything about the lives that they live, but for some reason or another, Charlie is back in his small town and he's staying there for a while, and they meet and they end up seeing a lot of each other. I did enjoy this book a lot. This isn't my favorite Emily Henry, and it's not a 5-star for me either. I think I'm gonna rate this 4.25. There were a few times where things just kind of dragged out. I like Nora's character a lot, and I loved Charlie. I thought he was awesome, but I feel like there was just something missing for me in this book. I don't know exactly what it was. I don't know if the pacing was off. I don't know if I just didn't feel as connected to the characters. I honestly don't know, but I think a 4.25 is a good rating for this one just because I just didn't feel it, and I wasn't like itching to read it all the time, you know? But I still did really enjoy it, and I still did really like the characters, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like Emily Henry can truly do no wrong for me. These next few books that I'm going to talk about, I actually read in my 24-hour readathon, so go check that out if you want want to hear more of my thoughts on them while I'm reading them. The first one I read in that video was Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson, which is the second book in a Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. This book is about our main character Pippa, and basically she ends up solving crimes in her small town. Most of the crimes are missing person things. So that happens in the first one, and it also happens in the second one, but this one's a little bit more close to home because it's actually somebody she knows personally. That's all I'm gonna say because I don't want to spoil anything for you, obviously, especially because it is like a mystery thriller, and these are YA as well. I'm a scaredy cat. We all know this, especially if you've watched a lot of my videos, but I can handle this, and this had my adrenaline pumping. This had me so into it, and I cannot wait to read the third one. I'm gonna rate this a 4.5, I think. It was just so fast-paced, so fun, and again, like, I think I say this every time I read one of her books or talk about one of her books, but the elements that Holly Jackson brings into her books, she has interviews, she has like little blurbs from podcasts, she has what's going on in Pip's head and Pip's life, and she also has photographs, she has crime scene evidence. There's just so many elements in here that just make it so much more interesting and feel like you're the one solving the case with Pippa, and I love those elements. I want to read literally everything that she writes, and I feel like I'm about to get on a huge mystery kick. The next book that I read was a new release that came out on April 2nd, and it was The Rule Book by Sarah Adams. The main character in this book, her name is also Nora, and then we also have Derek, which is our male main character. It is dual POV. Derek is a football player, but right now he's not playing because he is injured, so he's kind of trying to work through that whole situation and figure out if he's gonna play again, if he can play again. So he's going through a lot of stuff with that. And then we have Nora. She is a sports agent, and she's really getting into it more now. She has the chance to have her like first official client, and it is none other than Derek. The problem with this is that they used to date in college, and they were literally so in love with each other, thought they were gonna get married, and then the breakup just kind of came out of nowhere. So they have not seen each other since this breakup, and they see each other in like a room whenever they first meet up as like agent and like talent, and it's just like really weird and awkward. And the reason why it's called The Rule Book is because they end up having to make a rule book in order for their working relationship to actually like work. I can't remember what I rated this in the 24-hour readathon video, but I think I'm just gonna rate this a 3. This book was extremely mid for me. I don't know why. I don't know what was missing. I think that, well, one, the ending just carried out way too much. It was just so long for no reason. There were so many times where I was like, it could have ended here, it could have ended here, and it just didn't. And I felt like there were a lot of things that were said that were like unnecessary. It's almost like she wanted to include extra epilogues at the end of the book that were actually like incorporated into the whole entire story instead of just being stated as an epilogue. Because I'll be honest, sometimes I don't read epilogues because sometimes like they're just so unnecessary. I wasn't like obsessed with Nora and Derek for some odd reason. I thought like whatever, their story was sweet and cute, but I just didn't really feel like a connection for them, and I feel like I wasn't really like rooting for them. Like I wasn't like, please, like I want them to be together so bad. Like I wasn't itching to like finish this. It just, I don't know. There was just something like incredibly missing for me, but it also like wasn't bad. So I feel like that's why it's like a 3. Like a 3 is still a good rating. It just wasn't my personal favorite. I would still recommend it because I think other people would enjoy it a lot more. I enjoyed the cheat sheet, and I've enjoyed so many other Sarah Adams books more than this one. I just feel like personally, I just could not get on board with the couple for some reason. I don't know. And it makes me so sad because I love her books so much. Like Practice Make Perfect I read last month, and I literally rated like a 4.5. Like it was so cute, but for some reason, I don't know, I just could not get with this book. Next up, I read Flawless by Elsie Silver. This is the first book in the Chestnut Spring series. I finally read it. I have been itching to read this series for so long, and now I just know I'm gonna fly through it this entire summer. There are 5 books in the series, and this is the first one. This one follows Rhett and Summer. These are dual POV. Rhett is actually a professional bull rider, and Summer's dad owns like the company that oversees Rhett. So kind of the same thing with the Rule Book. He is the talent, and her dad is the agent. His name is Kip, but Mr. Rhett has a lot of problems with his reputation. He does things that he probably shouldn't, and then he loses sponsorships. So Summer ends up going to where Rhett lives to kind of like babysit him to make sure that he is doing what he needs to be doing and not doing what he does not need to be doing in order to keep the sponsorships and to keep him in the good graces of the public eye. This book, I would almost say, is like the perfect recipe for a contemporary romance. It had the perfect amount of plot, the perfect amount of spice, the perfect amount of tension, and the perfect amount of just like them getting to know each other and just depth in general. I really enjoyed this. I think I'm gonna rate this a 4.25, 4.5, around there. I liked them a lot together. I was rooting for them the whole time. Maybe that was another reason why like the rule book wasn't as interesting to me, because I did read these like back to back because they are like kind of like similar-ish, but I don't know, I just related to these characters so much more and rooted for these characters so much more. Specifically Summer, I don't know, like I loved Summer Hamilton. She was so interesting to me. She just had so much depth to her, so much in her past that she had to bring back into her life now to like really deal with head on. And same with Rhett, honestly, for them to be in like a healthy relationship, they really had to deal with these things head on together, and they did, and it was just so cute. The only thing that I didn't like were the super long and super unnecessary epilogues. I didn't end up reading them because I enjoyed this book so much, and I do think that as time goes on I probably will enjoy the epilogues a lot more as I get connected to the other characters in these books, but they were mainly about the other characters and not as much about Summer and Rhett. So yeah. Next up we have Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. This is one that has been on my physical TBR for oh so long, and I am so glad that it is finally off of it, and I actually did end up enjoying it like quite a bit. This is in the small town of Knock Mountain. This is the second one in the series. It is a trilogy, so I only have one more to go, and this one follows Lena and Nash. Nash is the chief of police in their small little town, and Lena is in town currently for her job. She's not really like staying or anything, but she does know people in town, so she's like intermingled in the things that are going on in the town. And there's just so many things that happen in these books. These books are kind of like wild and just fun filled and just packed to the brim, honestly. And Lucy Score's books are spicy. Let me just say, if you do not like spice, do not read these. But if you do like spice, I think you would enjoy these very much. They have also a mystery element in all of them that is kind of interesting, and I do think I like Lena and Nash together a lot more than I thought I would. I think that their story makes sense. I think them being together makes sense. They also like live across the hall from each other in this apartment building, so it's almost like roommate vibes, but not really. And there was a lot of spice in here, but there was also a lot of like connection in here too that I really appreciated. I think this was like a solid 4, maybe like a 3.75. This wasn't really my favorite, but I did enjoy it and I was entertained. And sometimes these books just feel like I am reading a random reality TV show that just is so random and outlandish, and sometimes they say the darndest things, and I'm just like, oh, that was a choice. So that's this one. And then I ended off the month with the newest release that I am so incredibly excited to talk about. I actually did a reading vlog of me reading this book. I uploaded it yesterday, so if you haven't watched that, it's in the ultimate book video that just went up yesterday. You should definitely check that out if you want to know all of my super like in-depth thoughts. But without further ado, we are going to be talking about Emily Henry's newest release, Funny Story. Can I just say that I love this blue color? It is literally stunning. This came out on April 23rd, and again, this is just another Emily Henry romance. They're all kind of in the same world, but they're not interconnected. So if you haven't read any of hers, you can literally pick up any book of hers that you want to, because they're all standalones. This book is about our main character, Daphne, and she just went through a crazy breakup. The breakup was actually with her fiance, Peter, and he left her for his best friend. And his best friend, Petra, also now girlfriend Petra, also left her boyfriend, Miles, of like 3 years to be with Peter. So we have Peter and Petra. And since both couples lived with each other at the time, Daphne truly has nowhere to go because Peter basically convinced Daphne to move to his hometown, and it was his house, so her name isn't on the deed or anything like that, so she has no right to it, so she has nowhere to go. And Miles needs roommates, so she moves in with Miles, who she truly like doesn't really know. Like, they're not even like friends. They met like a few times, obviously, because Peter and Petra knew of each other, but that's really it. So again, Miles and Daphne, Peter and Petra. Obviously, Miles and Daphne are both going through breakups and stuff like that at the same time, so even though they don't know each other, they can relate to each other on a way that truly nobody else in their lives can. And Daphne's character is just so deep, and I really just related to her so much. I saw so much of myself in her, and I also really enjoyed Miles' character. I honestly fell in love with him. I don't know where I'm at with what my favorite Emily Henry book is at the moment, or like the ranking of them, or who my favorite Emily Henry book oh my god, I said that so weird. Or who my favorite Emily Henry book boyfriend at the moment is, but I loved Miles. I truly did. I felt like he was so real, and he was so in the story without having to have something in his point of view. And I think the way that Emily Henry gets away with not having dual POV is because she has so much banter. She is the queen of banter, and she is also the queen of showing, not telling. I hate it in books whenever they just tell you what's going on and they're not like showing you by talking about the scenery. They're just kind of like staying staying in the person's brain who is the main character, instead of like showing you what's like around them, or it's showing you who they're talking to and having those conversations and all of that kind of stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about. And she just brings it every time. Every time I have a new release, I always get nervous that I'm gonna be disappointed, and she never disappoints. This is a 5-star. I'm not gonna stop thinking about this book, the depth in this book, the heartbreak in this book. If you have gone through any hard heartbreak in your life, which most of us have, this is for you. I just really love this book. I don't know what my favorite Emily Henry book is at the moment, so don't ask me that question. I'm gonna reread my other 2 favorites, Happy Place and Beach Read, this summer, and then I will get back to you on that. Okay, those are all the books that I read in the month of April. We have quite the array of ratings and genres and just all the things this month. But it was honestly just a really great reading month, and I'm glad that I found some new favorite books this month. Comment down below what books you read this month, maybe your favorite book that you read this month. Also, any video ideas that you guys have, or any books that you want me to read specifically in videos. I always love hearing you guys' feedback, especially because I want to make content that you guys like to see. And I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and go ahead and comment down below let's do the cloud emoji, because I'm wearing white and I am sitting in like my little cloud chair. So comment down below the cloud emoji if you watched this far in the video, so I know who the real ones are. If you want to keep up with my day-to-day life, go ahead and follow me on TikTok, on Instagram, and Goodreads, especially Goodreads if you want to keep up with what I'm reading in real time. And yeah, I think that is all for this video. I hope you guys had a great reading month, or having a great day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys. Okay, that was like all up in my hair. Cute. Ah.